The story of Finn Merdin's is incredibly complicated. Therefore, so you can understand him better, I'm gonna go over every important event which shaped him into the person he is. It's the story of a young orphan boy who is forced to live in an apocalyptic land known as Oo, and his journey of discovering his place within it, all while learning about the truths of who he really is. Because although we call him Finn the human, he may actually not be that human after all. So get ready, sit back, grab a snack if you want, and enjoy. Even from a young age, it is clear that Finn has a kind heart and has always wanted to make the world a better place. This is something made clear in Season 1 Episode 10 titled Memories of Boom Boom Mountain, when Finn hears crying in the distance and immediately goes to help. He explains how when he was a baby, he went to the bathroom on a leaf and accidentally fell backwards into it, and this made him cry for a whole day while no one came to help him. So that very day, he vowed to help anyone in need, no matter how small their problem.
He still cries when he poops.
This want to help people leads to him trying to help everyone having problems all at once, and he can't seem to keep up with it all. So his best friend Jake gets him to take a pause and asks him what he himself really wants, which causes Finn to have a continuation of his flashback. It turns out that eventually 2 dogs named Joshua and Margaret found him, and decided to give him love and kisses, then even chose to adopt him. This kind act was the first step in making Finn feel at home in this apocalyptic land which he was deserted in, as now he had a family to raise him, and was able to experience joy again, after feeling all alone, abandoned in a forest, with no parents to be found. This memory makes Finn then conclude that he himself does in fact want to help everyone in need, and that truly is his deepest desire, because he can relate to people's traumas through his own. So he and Jake find a way to help everyone around them who's in need all at once.
Stop! I've got a problem. This dolphin fell in love with me.
That's the opposite of a problem. Adventure time!
Adventure time it is, Finn. On one of the first big adventures Finn goes on, he has to use this kind heart of his to his advantage. In Season 1 Episode 5, titled The Enchiridion, Princess Bubblegum tells Finn about a book known as the Enchiridion, which is a book meant only for heroes with a righteous heart. I mean, that sounds perfect for a person like Finn. So he ventures off to obtain the book, and after proving himself as a righteous hero while on this adventure,
Slay this ant!
Never!
he is given it by a minotaur. But why exactly does the Enchiridion even matter? Well, I'll get into that soon enough, so stay tuned, because this book becomes incredibly important. Surprisingly enough, Finn actually isn't the only hero of Oo who is seemingly deserving of something like the Enchiridion, as there's another guy named Billy. Billy is a great hero who Finn and Jake essentially worship, and in Season 1 Episode 25 titled His Hero, they end up coming across his sword while on an adventure. When trying to pull the sword out of the ground, it opens up a crack into the earth, so Finn and Jake decide to enter it and come across Billy inside. The two of them really want Billy to train them, but Billy believes that doing so would be a waste of time. Chasing and fighting evil as a whole has become pointless in Billy's eyes, because every time he beats evil, more shows up anyway. So he has decided that fighting evil without violence is the best way to go about things, and suggests that Finn and Jake try the same. After taking Billy's advice for a while and helping people without using violence, Finn ends up returning to what he knows best, which is fighting, and he punches an evil guy in order to save an old lady. So he then goes back to Billy and lets him know that sometimes violence is okay in his eyes, because in this case it enabled him to help save someone, and he is born to save people. This event was a big lesson for Finn, as he further learned that he can help people in whatever way he sees best, and doesn't always have to blindly follow other people's opinions, even the ones of his own heroes, when he himself knows his own abilities and heart the best out of anyone. Being able to fight makes Finn the hero he is, because he does fighting better than anything, especially more so than trying to use his intelligence. In Season 2 Episode 15 titled The Real You, Finn tries using his intelligence to impress Princess Bubblegum, and he almost kills a lot of people because of it. Because Princess Bubblegum is so smart, Finn believes that if he himself were very intelligent, he will be able to impress her. So he gets a pair of magic glasses which will make him super intelligent from a vendor named Choose Goose. Using these glasses, he does a presentation at Princess Bubblegum's science fair. During his presentation, he shows off a multi-dimensional bubble wand which he made, and then makes a 4D bubble with it, which leads to a black hole forming and putting the lives of everyone at the fair in danger. Very impressive, I must say, Finn. Princess Bubblegum then tells Finn that he's not himself with the glasses on and that she needs the real him. So she takes the glasses off him, which causes him to lose his super intelligence. And now that Finn is back to normal, in order to solve the whole, black hole problem, he decides to try and defeat it with what he knows best, using his sword to fight. And while going to do so, the bubble wand hits his sword and turns it 4-dimensional.
Jake, let me go!
Finn, don't do anything stupid!
I can't help it, man! I'm all about stupid! Yeah!
Finn saves the day by jumping into the black hole with his sword. causing it to disappear, although his sword is sadly destroyed in the process. So what will he do now without a sword, as fighting is his whole thing, and swords are quite important to him? Well, in Season 2, Episode 19, titled Mystery Train, Finn is on a train where the passengers are being murdered, and he wants to get to the bottom of who's doing it. He finds out that the train conductor is supposedly behind these murders. Then, while going to fight him, Finn ends up coming across a sword known as the Root Sword, and decides to make it his new sword. While fighting the conductor, it's revealed that the whole murder mystery was fake, and that Jake did it as a surprise for Finn's birthday, which would mean that Jake more than likely put this sword on the train as a gift for Finn, to help him solve the problem of his last one getting destroyed by a black hole.
So nobody was murdered?
Nope. Not unless you count the train's control panel.
Luckily, the train is saved by falling onto a thing of gelatin.
That must have taken forever to plan.
Nope. That part was a total accident.
So we could have...
Died horribly? Yes.
Almost being accidentally killed by your best friend sounds like such a great birthday present. Funnily enough though, this actually isn't the only time when Finn has to solve a murder mystery. In Season 3, Episode 12, titled The Creeps, Finn is at a haunted house with some friends, and people begin dying. So Finn yet again has to figure out who's behind it. But this time around, things are different, as during all this, while Finn is alone, the house comes alive, and he encounters a ghost woman. Then right after this encounter with the ghost is when Jake reveals that he was behind the murders and faked it all as a prank. Finn tells Jake that he's impressed he was able to fake all the stuff involving the ghost woman and the house becoming alive. But Jake responds like this.
Yeah, nah, you must have been so scared you imagined that part.
No, I didn't.
Haha, nice try, Finn.
After hearing Jake respond like that, while leaving the haunted house, Finn decides to actively wipe the memory of the ghost lady from his mind.
That one's going in the vault. And it's gone.
Honestly, understandable, Finn. So was that a real ghost he encountered, or what exactly even happened, since none of that was part of Jake's prank? Well, I'll cover that a bit later in the video, as the answer goes a lot deeper than you'd think, and there's much more you'll need to understand first. After having a terrifying and unexplainable experience like that, as well as having his own best friend almost kill him on his own birthday, Finn's gonna need some form of deep relaxation to find some peace. Well, it turns out he actually does in fact meditate, so maybe that would help. In Season 2, Episode 24, titled Mortal Folly, Finn is meditating with Jake and Princess Bubblegum, and he finally finds some peace while envisioning the ultimate version of himself. But this peace is disturbed by a giant problem, which will cause him plenty of stress for a long time to come. During this group meditation, Princess Bubblegum envisions an evil being and immediately gets up and tells Finn and Jake that she needs to go check on something. So Finn asks her if he and Jake can come along.
Can we go with?
Perhaps you are ready to go with.
She then gives them both jewelry to wear, and they travel to the center of the heart of a giant tree within the Candy Kingdom, where she shows them an ancient evil which is trapped within the tree, imprisoned in amber. This evil is known as the Lich, and he is constantly casting spells to try and get inside people's heads and control them, which is why they needed the gems in their jewelry, so they could protect their minds from the Lich. Princess Bubblegum then explains to Finn and Jake how long ago the Lich was trying to destroy the entirety of the land, but luckily Billy fought him and pummeled him into the resin of the tree where he now stays. While listening to Princess Bubblegum explain things, a snail from Finn's backpack crawls out and gets itself accidentally controlled by the Lich and begins to break the amber which he's trapped in. This allows the Lich to escape, but at least for now, he isn't at full power. This means Finn will have to act fast and defeat him with the Gauntlet of the Hero before he reaches his Well of Power, where he'll be able to regain his power. As the Lich's only desire is to destroy all life, Finn must defeat him, and cannot fail. On their way to catch the Lich, they end up bumping into Ice King. Because of him wasting their time, the Lich reaches the well before Finn and Jake are able to catch up. Once they finally catch up, while fighting the Lich at his Well of Power, Finn's gauntlet is crushed into pieces, and his gem is smashed, which allows the Lich to control him. But there's a lot on the line, so Finn won't give up without a fight, and he fights his hardest to get the Lich out of his head.
Walk into the well, Finn. Aren't you cold?
No, I'm not! I've got a sweater on!
And he defeats the Lich with the sweater which Princess Bubblegum made for him. Thankfully, Ooh has a great hero such as Finn, who is willing to use a little violence when needed, and everyone is safe. Or are they? As Ice King accidentally drops Princess Bubblegum into the well of the Lich and she melts alive.
Oops, I've got the dropsies.
So in Season 2, Episode 25, titled Mortal Recoil, she is recovering in the hospital, and during this, Ice King tells everyone that he saw something weird when she fell in the well. But Finn doesn't want to listen to him, as I mean, he's the reason for her being in the hospital in the first place. While recovering, the princess begins acting very strange, and even demonic, which leads to her mutating and beating up Finn and Jake. Ice King then tells Finn and Jake that she's being possessed by the Lich, and that he saw it with his wizard eyes during their time in the well. So Finn and Jake go to stop her with Ice King, and after doing so, she shatters into a bunch of pieces while frozen. So yet again, she's brought to the hospital and reconstructed, using only parts that are viable, which causes her to temporarily be turned into a 13-year-old girl.
Oh, dang it! Well, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
Well, at least this time around, it would seem that Finn finally was actually successful in defeating the Lich. Except there's one problem. The snail from earlier is still possessed. We'll get into that in just a minute, but before we do, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to like it as well as subscribe to the channel for more content like it. Now back to the video. In Season 4, Episode 7, titled In Your Footsteps, this snail would become a huge problem for Finn. Even though Finn's kind and heroic heart has helped many, this time around having such a righteous heart would cause him to make a giant mistake without even knowing it. During this episode, Finn saves a bear's life by stopping it from choking, so the bear follows him to his house and is trying to copy things which Finn is doing.
You're not even a little weirded out by this?
Nah, man, he's just doing his instincts. He's like a parrot or chameleon or something. He's funny.
Or chameleon or something. He's funny.
Finn later explains to the bear how he can be himself and still be cool without having to copy him, but the bear says he wants to be a hero just like Finn. So as a kind act, Finn gives the bear the Enchiridion from earlier so that he can learn to be a hero just like him.
Finn, are you nuts? We can't give that book away. It's like crazy important.
Whatever, man. We never use it, except for like sitting on it when the grass is wet and stuff.
The bear then takes the Enchiridion to a cave and meets with the snail who is possessed by the Lich.
Yes. One step closer.
Wow. So this supposedly innocent bear was actually doing the bidding of the Lich all along? But why would the Lich even need the Enchiridion? What use is a book? Well, in Season 4, Episode 26, titled The Lich, Finn has a dream about the snail flipping through the Enchiridion and summoning the Lich, who then attacks Billy. After telling Jake about the dream, Jake concludes that Finn had a premonition dream which was predicting the future, all because a being known as the Cosmic Owl was in this same dream, as supposedly the Cosmic Owl is a key symbol within visions that will play out in the future. To give some context, in Season 3, Episode 18, titled The New Frontier, Jake has a dream similar to this where he's floating in outer space with a banana man and then starts suffocating, and the dream then ends with the Cosmic Owl screeching. So Jake believes that he just saw how he dies, and is paranoid throughout the whole episode, especially when he and Finn come across a banana man.
Someone's downstairs.
I'll take a look.
Who is it?
It's the Banana Man.
By the end of the episode, it would seem events are playing out near perfectly to match his dream, but Finn is with him, so the events of the dream don't play out, as in his dream he was alone.
In the Croak dream, it was just me and Banana Man. But this time, you were here too. It must be destined to happen again, when you're not around.
I can never leave your side ever again for the rest of our lives.
Now coming back to Finn's dream in Season 4, Episode 26, because of the Cosmic Owl being in Finn's dream, Jake believes that this dream is definitely very important, and that they should go talk with Billy. After Billy hears about Finn's dream, and is told that the Cosmic Owl was in it, he asks Finn if he's ready to come with him on a mission to save all life from the Lich once and for all. For this mission, they have to obtain each gem from all the crowns of power across Ooh. So they begin doing just that, and while doing so, they take a quick break for food while only needing one more gem. During this break, Finn wants candy, so he searches Billy's bag for some and comes across the Enchiridion inside. You're probably wondering, how on earth did Billy get it? Well, Billy lets Finn know that he found it in the mouth of a bear. Then he lets Finn and Jake know that the book has magical powers, and tells Finn to turn the sword on it sideways. The book then opens up a hidden section and summons all of the gems of power into it. This allows them to see a holographic map of the multiverse, and a little guy named Bucko begins explaining things and talks about the time room at the center of the multiverse. The time room is a single dimension that exists outside of time, and produces time waves, which other dimensions experience. Some dimensions in the multiverse are permanently linked to each other, which allows for travel between them. Others become linked temporarily by naturally forming wormholes, and others can become linked artificially by magical portals which are opened by items of great power. And once the last gem is put in the Enchiridion, it will have the power to create a portal to any dimension in the multiverse. house. After hearing about all this from Bucko, Billy says how he plans to push the Lich into this portal. So now that Finn and Jake know the plan, they just need the last gem from Princess Bubblegum's crown. After stealing her gem, Finn puts it into the Enchiridion, causing it to change its form. Although Princess Bubblegum is chasing after him, and lets him know that it's not Billy who he's bringing the Enchiridion to, but rather the Lich. A gumball guardian of Princess Bubblegum then shoots Billy in the face, and the Lich is revealed underneath his skin. It would seem that Finn's dream has already come true, and Billy is dead, with the Lich using his body as a disguise.
You tricked me!
No, child. It's all true. The book has great power. I can make you live forever. Anything you want. Just give me that book.
After realizing that the Lich wants the Enchiridion, Finn decides to smash it. All while the Lich happily watches, and a portal opens.
Thanks, Finn. I couldn't have done it without you.
The Lich then begins to go through the portal, and while trying to stop him, Finn and Jake are dragged through it with him. Wow, Finn's strong desire to help people and be a hero really does seem to be causing a lot of problems lately. So can they hopefully at least stop the Lich this time? Well, in Season 5, Episode 1 titled Finn the Human, while on the other side of the portal, the Lich is escaping towards a cube, and when Finn and Jake make it there, they see the Lich laughing as he vanishes. It would seem that Finn has just failed by allowing the Lich to escape and begin executing his plan to end all life. Although it turns out that this cube is actually the time room which I mentioned earlier, the dimension which exists outside of time. And while in the time room, Finn and Jake come across a being known as Prismo. And yes, it does in fact turn out that they already failed at stopping the Lich from executing his plans, and are too late, as Prismo has the ability to grant people a single wish, and he just granted the Lich's wish for the extinction of all life. That's why he just disappeared in front of them, because when wishing for the extinction of all life, it changed his own timeline and killed everyone, as well as himself. So how exactly are Finn and Jake still alive then? Well, it's because they are safe in the time room until they make their own wishes, because the time room exists outside of time. So to fix this ongoing problem of the Lich having just killed everyone, Finn uses his wish to wish that the Lich never existed.
I wish the Lich never even ever existed.
This wish causes him to begin living in a more simple timeline that's an alternate version of his original reality. This new reality is called Farm World. Farm World Finn ends up falling into a cave and comes across a hermit, who's an alternate version of Finn's usual vampire friend Marceline from his original reality. And she's protecting a crown which is on the dead body of Simon Petrikov, who's an alternate version of Ice King. She explains to Finn that 1,000 years ago, Simon gave his life to save the planet from annihilation through mutagenic horror, and using his ice powers from this supposedly magic crown, Simon was able to stop the bomb which would bring these horrors to the world in midair.
But he alone was not saved. Trapped under the giant weight of the enormous bomb, poor Simon perished.
The bomb still remains at rest on top of Simon, ready to blow at any moment. After hearing this story, Farmworld Finn thinks it's fake because he believes that magic isn't real, so he just ignores the hermit and decides to steal the crown in order to sell it for money to pay for saving his dad from a gang known as Destiny Gang. While trying to sell the crown, it gets stolen by this same Destiny Gang, so Finn goes to get it back. And after some fighting, the leader of the gang decides to give it back as salt in the wound to the fact that because Finn messed with the Destiny Gang, they've already started burning his village down, as well as his house with his mom, dad, and baby sibling inside, with his family in danger, on the edge of death. Having no other choice, Farmworld Finn prays that the hermit was right about the crown being magic, and puts it on.
Wait, no!
In Season 5, Episode 2 titled Jake the Dog, after putting on the crown, Finn begins to hear the crown invading his brain with promises of power, and it turns out that the hermit was telling the truth, because he is able to use the crown's ice magic to save his parents, as well as stop the Destiny Gang. But during his crazy outrage with the power of the crown, he causes so many vibrations through the ground that the bomb which Simon stopped long ago gets activated, and unleashes the mutagenic horrors inside, causing an apocalypse. During this apocalypse, Farmworld Finn comes across his version of Jake, who has fallen into a pool of acid, and this acid causes Farmworld Jake to mutate into the Lich. But how did the Lich come back if Finn wished for him to have never existed? Well, it would seem his wish wasn't specific enough. And maybe his wish caused the Lich to not have existed only up to the point he made the wish. Because saying you wish he never existed would mean never existing in the past, but not necessarily not existing in the future. Finn rushed his wish, and the consequences are playing out. While all this is going on in Finn's new life, Jake is still in the time room and is able to watch this new life of Finn's playing out, and he wants to help. So, Prismo helps Jake make sure that he uses his wish wisely, and that he's specific enough with it, instead of just doing this.
I wish for a sandwich.
A sandwich? You're gonna waste your one wish on a sandwich?
Eventually, after getting plenty of help from Prismo.
Wish. Change the Lich's wish.
And go home.
And go home. Okay.
Jake decides to wish that the Lich's wish was for him and Finn to go back home. This causes Finn and Jake to enter a new reality where they go back in time to right when they were entering the time room, and the Lich then wishes for the two of them to go back home, instead of wishing for the extinction of all life.
No, wait. That's not what I wish for.
Sorry, guy. You only get one wish. Hey, Jake. Did you see that?
This surprisingly ends up working, and they are able to return home, and the Gems of Power are then returned back to their owners. Although, this wish of Jake's leaves Finn very confused.
What the? Why would the Lich wish? What? Jake?
It worked.
Something really messed up is happening!
Ha ha! It already happened. And it never happened.
Speaking of being confused, I still need to answer what that whole situation with the ghost lady and the house coming alive was about, since supposedly it wasn't just a prank of Jake's. Well, in Season 5, Episode 34, titled The Vault, we get some answers regarding this event, when Finn once again encounters the ghost lady while in his kitchen. It would seem the encounter was a sleepwalking vision which Jake wakes him from, and Jake then tells Finn to open his vault, where he is actively repressing memories.
Oh yeah, the vault. That's where the stuff I can't handle goes. Kerplunk.
Okay, so you even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Hopefully opening this vault will help them figure out the reason for Finn's night terrors. But Finn doesn't want to open it. So Jake decides to get Finn to play a regression simulator on their computer friend BMO, which hypnotizes Finn and causes him to dive deep into his subconscious mind, where he gets to see past lives of his. In these past lives, he lived as a comet, a butterfly, whatever this blob thing is, and as well, he was once the ghost lady which he's been encountering, but rather a non-ghost version of her named Shoko, who had a pet tiger. In this past life, Shoko became friends with Princess Bubblegum in order to steal her amulet for a bounty mission. Princess Bubblegum even made Shoko a robotic arm, but at the end of the day, Shoko did what she needed to do. While stealing the amulet, she fell into a radioactive river and became deformed to look like the ghost lady which Finn has been seeing, and then crawled to where Finn's treehouse eventually would grow, and died. After remembering all of this, Finn destroys the floorboards of the treehouse and retrieves the amulet from Shoko so he can give it back to Princess Bubblegum. While doing so, Finn sees his own ghost of Shoko giving him the amulet, but other people just see Shoko's skeleton. Also, side note, but Princess Bubblegum being around when Finn was alive as Shoko means she's actually way older than 19.
You're not freaking 19, what the heck? Weirdo.
Okay, so that seems to at least somewhat answer the question of what the whole Ghost Lady event was. As it seems, it was just Finn's subconscious mind giving him visionary experiences of a past life of his. But now there's even more questions about his other past lives, and what the whole situation with those is. So I'll get to answering those questions soon enough. But first I'm gonna have to cover a lot of deep backstory of Finn's, so that everything can piece together and make more sense. So get ready and potentially grab yet another snack, because we've only just started. Going back a little bit, in Season 3, Episode 25, titled Dad's Dungeon, after being guided through a dungeon by a hologram which his adopted dad Joshua left for him before he died, Finn ends up obtaining Joshua's demon blood sword. By the way, just so you know, Joshua died sometime before the series itself started. Then in Season 5, Episode 40, titled Playdate, Ice King and a guy named Abracadaniel are staying in Finn's house, and Ice King wants to show off the demon blood sword to him, so he unwraps the hilt and explains how if you say the words on the hilt, you'll be able to see a vision of the demon whose blood was used to make the sword.
Too bad neither of us can read demon runes.
Oh, I know how. Booty rum laxuri poki oth brandium. Oops.
Ice King reading this summons the demon Keoth. And he's definitely not just a vision. Finn then comes across the problem which Ice King just created, and decides to break the sword, believing it will banish Keoth. But instead of banishing him, doing this releases his blood from the sword, and only makes him even more powerful. So Keoth then steals Jake because he thinks he's Joshua, and he wants revenge on Joshua for chaining him to his wall and taking his blood long ago. So Finn goes to save Jake in Season 5, Episode 41, titled The Pit, and he brings another demon blood sword with him to fight Keoth. Although it would seem Finn made a big mistake, because Keoth is able to suck the demon blood from Finn's sword to make himself more powerful.
Except it's not demon blood. It's a frozen grape juice that was blessed by the priest. Bless this sword, fodder.
Check, please!
Wait, what? I guess Finn actually did use intelligence for once, instead of just violence. Good job, Finn.
Wait.
But as we know, he can't usually rely on intelligence, and he'll still need another sword to replace his broken demon blood sword. So in Season 5, Episode 45, titled Blade of Grass, Jake tells Finn to get a new sword and they head to a market. Here they meet a suspicious vendor who sells Finn a grass sword. Right away, Finn seems very skilled with the sword and well in tune with it. So in tune that when he cuts an apple for his friend Tree Trunks, she says this:
"That apple slicing is too perfect. Demonically perfect. That sword is cursed!"
At first, Finn and Jake just laugh her comment off, but at night, Finn has a dream of the sword consuming his body and turning him into grass. Then when he wakes up, the sword is beginning to wrap itself around his wrist. This makes him so scared that he goes and kicks the sword into a river, only for it to come back to him. Understandably, Finn wants a refund, and goes to return the sword to the vendor. But the vendor refuses to take it back, and lets Finn know that it is now a part of him, for eternity.
You know what? I think I'm cool with that.
What?
This acceptance of the curse luckily allows Finn to gain some control of the sword on his own. Then, not too long after obtaining the Blade of Grass, during Season 5, Episode 52, titled Billy's Bucket List, Finn comes across Billy's ex-girlfriend named Canyon, which causes him to reflect on how he has dealt with Billy's death, and acknowledge that he's still in denial. So together, he and Canyon decide to go to Billy's home.
It's time to go see Billy's crack.
While at his crack, Finn and Canyon come across Billy's bucket list, so they decide to complete it in honor of him. After completing the list, Billy appears in the stars and speaks to Finn. He tells him that he must go to the Citadel, because that's where his father is.
Joshua's not alive. Me and Jake buried him behind the...
Not Joshua. Your other dad. Dad the human.
What?
He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive.
In Season 6, Episode 1, titled Wake Up, Finn is unsure if he should go and find his real dad.
Maybe there's a good reason he didn't raise me.
But eventually he figures it would be cool to see what he may look like in the future, and decides to go find him. So Finn goes with Jake to visit Prismo in order to figure out how to reach the Citadel. Prismo then tells them how the Citadel is a prison where the worst of criminals go, and Finn assumes his dad is the warden of the place. Prismo then also tells Finn and Jake that in order to reach the Citadel, they would have to commit a cosmic crime. So he tells them to bring him a certain sleeping old man back, but to not wake him up while doing so. After Finn gets the man with Jake, Prismo tells them how the old man is him, and that Prismo himself is the dream of this old man. This means that if the man is awoken, Prismo would disappear. Killing a Wishmaster is a cosmic crime, and doing so would get them to the Citadel, just as they want. Then suddenly, the Lich, who has been waiting in the time room stuck in limbo and not moving after having his wish changed by Jake, makes a move and wakes up Old Man Prismo. After awakening him, the Lich kills Old Man Prismo and is taken away by guards to the Citadel.
I'm coming, Daddy!
Then in Season 6, Episode 2, titled Escape from the Citadel, Finn and Jake jump on the Lich as he is taken away. And while at the Citadel, they come across Finn's biological dad, who is locked up in some kind of crystal, just like all the other criminals. But the crystal which he's imprisoned in begins melting, as it turns out that the Lich is using magic to free all the prisoners, causing absolute chaos. Once he's released, Finn finally gets to meet his biological dad for the first time. Although, his dad doesn't seem to care about the reunion and only wants to escape.
Finn's your son. He came a long way to meet you.
Son? Oh. Hey, good for you, kid. In other news, I still gotta get out of here and the ground is melting.
While escaping, his dad gets shot by a guardian of the Citadel and has a chunk of his leg burned off. So he tells Finn to get him some guardian blood, which will heal his leg. While Finn is helping him heal his leg, his dad reveals that his name is Martin, and Finn then asks him why he would abandon him in the forest as a baby. But Martin says he forgets and just shifts the blame on Finn.
I don't know. It was a long time ago. Who knows? Like, maybe you left me.
After helping his dad with his leg, the Lich uses his powers to make Finn collapse and begins monologuing.
There is only darkness for you, and only death for your people. I will command a great and terrible army, and we will sail to 1 billion worlds. We will sail until every light has been extinguished. I am the end, and I have come for you, Finn.
While the Lich reaches for Finn, there's still some guardian blood on Finn's hand. So when Finn touches the Lich, his skeleton starts growing flesh, and the trance which the Lich has him in is broken. So Finn then begins throwing Guardian Blood at the Lich, but while doing so notices that his dad is escaping, and Finn has way too many unanswered questions. So he then runs off and leaves Jake with the Lich to go chase his dad, who is climbing away to a platform with a bunch of other prisoners trying to escape. It's clear Martin doesn't want to be around Finn, because while a worm is cutting the tether of their platform to escape, as Finn is climbing to reach this platform, Martin says how the worm chewing the line should chew faster, and the line is then cut while Finn is still climbing. So, to not let his dad escape, Finn holds on tight to both ends of the line, and his grass arm begins to take over, using excessive strength to hold onto the line, with Finn's other hand holding onto Jake, who has now begun helping. But it's no use, as eventually Finn's grass arm tears off his body and rips his arm off with it. He then falls back down to the Citadel, and his dad is gone. Just like that. While having fallen back down into the water of the Citadel, Guardian Blood touches the stub of his ripped off arm, and a flower grows. Kind of weird, but this will become very important. Luckily, Jake saves him from drowning, and because he's bummed about the events which just unfolded with his dad, Finn hopes that at least maybe the Lich has been dealt with. And Jake then lets him know that the Lich is now a giant cute baby. Awesome. So they go back home and leave the Lich baby with their friend Tree Trunks and Mr. Pig to take care of. This baby becomes known as Sweet Pea. So what exactly is Finn going to do with a literal flower for an arm now? Well, in Season 6, Episode 4 titled The Tower, Finn is trying to use a new arm made of candy which Princess Bubblegum made him, and it isn't working so well. Because of how inconvenient this new arm is, Finn gets very angry and blames his dad for everything, which causes the candy arm to explode. Seeing Finn's struggles, Jake tells him that if he listens to his melon heart, he will find the answers he needs to solve his problems. And Finn believes that his melon heart is telling him to go punch his dad in the face.
Well, those things are bad, so they can't be the real instructions. But you keep listening.
Then, while laying out in the sun with his new flower arm, out of nowhere a magical ethereal arm takes form around Finn's flower and gives him a whole new arm.
You must have exploded the candy arm before. It's almost like I'm trying to tell myself something. Like a message from my melon heart.
So while believing he is following his melon heart, Finn begins building a tower into space, using this new arm's power to move objects through the air, and he leaves a note for Jake saying this:
Jake, I'm going to space to punch my dad, steal his arm. Back soon, Finn.
While building the tower, Finn accidentally goes through a cloud person named Carol's house, and gets blasted in the face by her with electricity. After a bit, Carol eventually comes back to Finn so she can apologize for blasting him, and she's curious about the song which Finn has been singing while building his tower. You know, the song about him building a tower into space so he can rip his dad's arm off.
Baby's building a tower into space to tear off his dad's arm.
Carol then gives Finn a lesson about how he should stop obsessing over revenge, but rather fix his own current situation himself.
I used to be water. I used to hate people swimming in me. So what did I do? I evaporated. I got myself out of there. You have to stop obsessing about revenge.
After reaching a great height with his tower, Finn begins hallucinating and a spaceship comes to pick him up. After waking up on board, Finn sees his dad inside the ship, so he goes and punches him in the face and tries stealing his arm. But it turns out it was Princess Bubblegum disguised as his dad, and she had taken advantage of Finn hallucinating like crazy to trick him. This was all to teach him a lesson that revenge isn't so satisfying after all, and to further guide him on the path of following his heart. Jake telling Finn to follow his melon heart, I think would mean to follow a combination of both mind and heart. But by letting his mind overpower his heart, Finn was led astray on a journey for revenge, and wasn't truly following his heart. These events taught him that his heart should take priority, with the mind as a secondary, and that love should be the driving force which guides him.
You can always trust the old melon heart to get you through.
Then, after all this, his ethereal arm disappears, and Finn is now able to move on, with a new outlook on the situation with his dad. And luckily, Martin didn't have to lose an arm, and no one was hurt for Finn to reach this conclusion of revenge not feeling so great. Except, he and Jake get rid of the tower after Finn reaches this conclusion, and this happens. Oh my. I guess both Finn and Princess Bubblegum have arm problems now. And on top of this, it would seem Finn's usual joyful personality has changed to being rather depressed. I guess it makes sense after losing both your arm and your dad. Finn is in a slump. In Season 6, Episode 6, titled Breezy, While at the doctor, Finn is told to go out and have fun to help with his new flower arm being droopy, which is a representation of his current state of depression. So, Finn decides to take the doctor's advice and starts filling this hole in himself by making out with as many princesses as he can. All while during this whole episode, there is a bee named Breezy who is in love with Finn's flower and is following him around. After Breezy eventually tries to make a move to get with Finn and his flower, she is denied and flies away sad.
I'm lost in the darkness, Breezy.
Then, while going to bed after making out with Lumpy Space Princess, a petal of Finn's flower falls off, which seems to be a symbol of all of this making out seeming artificial, and none of it seems to be doing anything to make Finn whole again, but rather is making him spiral into an even worse state. And while sleeping after this, Breezy comes to Finn and sings about her love. Finn joins in the song, all while wondering if it's a dream or not, and asks himself who calls to his own heart. And as he asks himself that, Breezy transforms into Princess Bubblegum with a sword in her hands, and says this:
My hero, arise, let love be your guide.
Just like Jake's advice from earlier.
If you listen deep in your melon heart, that's where the real instructions are.
Except this time there's emphasis on being guided by the heart, with the melon as a secondary guide. And after Princess Bubblegum's singing, Finn's flower blooms into a tree and bursts open, revealing a new arm for him with a little thorn in his palm. So why exactly is there a thorn in Finn's hand now? As well, what was that sword which Princess Bubblegum was holding while singing to Finn? Well, let me answer that. In Season 6, Episode 19, titled Is That You?, Finn and Jake are performing a dream ritual in order to honor Prismo, and the pickles which he had made for them before he was gone. They then conclude the ritual with Jake eating the last pickle, and the both of them instantly go to bed to dream. Finn then wakes up, but weird things begin happening, like Jake exploding repeatedly. So Finn slaps himself and determines that he's not still sleeping. It would seem for some reason Jake's memories are repeating themselves, but when Finn interferes it creates a paradox and Jake explodes. So Finn decides to wait for Jake's memories to replay the ritual for Prismo which they just performed, and he figures he should reenact it perfectly. When he does reenact it, a portal opens up through Prismo's pickle jar, which brings Finn to the time room. The part of the time room he is in links the past, present, and future. And while in the time room, Finn comes across Prismo from the past, who pre-planned a past message for Finn in case he ever died. Past Prismo lets Finn know that he and Jake made a bond that could bring Prismo back through Jake's dreams. It turns out Jake is already in the time room, and has rebirthed Prismo into present reality by going to sleep in a bed inside the time room. After talking to Prismo from the past, Finn then goes to the Prismo of the present, who exists because of Jake dreaming, and wakes Jake up, which makes the present Prismo disappear, so that past Prismo can become present Prismo. Now, in order to keep present Prismo alive, Finn of the present will need to stop a new past version of himself from waking up Jake and ending Prismo, so they can end the time loop paradox of Prismo disappearing repeatedly. But that also means this for Jake.
That means one of your alternate reality incarnations will sleep for eternity to keep me alive.
Cool, dude!
When present Finn influences past Finn to not wake up Jake, this causes Finn of the past to explode and become a sword for present Finn to use. This sword is called Finn Sword, and is a living sword with Finn's essence within. After all this, finally Prismo is alive again, while an alternate version of Jake from the past becomes Old Man Prismo. Does this mean Jake is essentially a powerful wishmaster with heavy influence on the multiverse? Because technically, he is Prismo. Well, maybe. But since we are talking about Finn, I guess I might just have to make a video on Jake to answer that question. Let me know in the comments if I should. Anyway, this sword which Finn receives from a past version of him blowing up is the exact sword which Princess Bubblegum was holding in the scene where Finn gets his arm back. So because of Finn letting love be his guide like the princess mentioned earlier, by wanting to save Prismo because of his love and care for him as a friend, this guided him to obtaining the very sword she held while singing. That makes sense. So my guess is that the event with Finn regaining his arm was probably a combination of real life, as well as a vision of the future. Maybe it was a sleepwalking event like the one where he sees his past self as Shoko, but this time he was seeing the future instead of the past. Speaking of past lives, let's talk about Finn's supposed past life as a comet, which I mentioned earlier. In Season 6, Episode 25, titled Astral Plane, while about to go to sleep outside, Finn notices a very interesting looking star. Then, while he is sleeping, this star is shown to be a comet flying through the sky, and Finn begins to astral project and leaves his body. He then travels all around and ends up in outer space, where he comes across a bunch of beings known as space lards. The lards then transport him inside of a mother space lard, where he gets to witness a space lard being born from inside the mother, and this baby lard says Finn's name while leaving the mother.
What?
And as soon as this lard is born, the scene briefly changes to the same comet which Finn saw before going to sleep. This layout of scenes seems to be alluding to Finn's past birthing as a comet.
Well, that was creative, and it wasn't sad either. So maybe birth is the greatest creative statement in all the universe.
Eventually, Finn reaches Mars and sees the people of Mars trying to stop the comet with missiles, but it doesn't work and is still flying towards Mars. While on Mars, Grobgobglobgrod, who is essentially God in Adventure Time, mentions how every 1,000 years a catalyst comet reincarnates itself and then hits Earth, bringing with it massive change. Although this time the comet is off schedule and seems to be about to hit Mars, even though it's never hit Mars before. Then he says to Finn how he's dreaming so far from home that it must be comet related. And Finn responds by asking Grobgobglobgrod how if being born is the greatest act of creation, then what's the point of anything after that? Grobgobglobgrod replies by saying how creating something great isn't just enough, and that the greatness should be maintained in some way.
But what's it worth if we all gonna get blowed up right now?
Rather than responding, Grobgobglobgrod instead just flies into the comet, and Finn then returns to his body.
Oh, my blood!
What is it, boy?
Glob is dead.
It turns out that while flying into the comet, Grobgobglobgrod diverted its path to be on course to hit Earth just like how it should have in the first place, instead of hitting Mars. But why would he do this? Well, there's actually a rather good reason. In Season 6, Episode 27, titled The Visitor, the comet crashes into Earth while Finn is sleeping. This causes Finn to have a visionary dream where he is shown underwater with the comet, and a baby version of himself tells him that this is the comet he's supposed to follow.
Right, I knew that.
I'd think the fact that baby Finn guides older Finn to follow the comet means that baby Finn is more strongly connected to the deeper meaning of the comet. Older Finn let the passing of time in his human life confuse him from the truth of what he really is, as he continued to assimilate into his human life more and more. As we know from earlier, he forgot about his past incarnations, up until diving deep into his subconscious mind. Baby Finn, on the other hand, is more connected to what life really is, and that it's more than just a human experience, as baby Finn is less confused because he's been around as a human for a shorter period of time than older Finn has, and has had less time to assimilate into human life. Even though older Finn briefly forgot about this truth because of the passing of time as a human, deep down in his subconscious mind, he always remembered what he truly is, and that he is much more than just Finn the human. I mean, that's literally why he's had all these weird experiences and visions reflecting his past lives. Finn then carries baby Finn with him to follow the comet and tells him this.
Hey, be careful, okay? Hold on tight. It's okay. I won't ever let you go. That's true.
When he says this to baby Finn, it's a subconscious recognition of him never truly letting go of the deeper truth of life being a beyond human experience, and the strong connection he had to this truth as a baby.
It's okay. I won't ever let you go. That's true.
Funnily enough, the comet they are following seems to represent a sperm, and while following it, the comet flies into a crack inside underwater ruins. This is a visual representation of the comet being an agent of rebirth, specifically rebirth into new forms of existence, such as Finn becoming a butterfly. That's why it is called the Catalyst Comet, because it's a catalyst of rebirth.
It's time to wake up now. What, now? Yep. Like, right now? Yeah.
As Finn wakes up, he finds himself exhausted in the middle of nowhere near a farming village. Turns out he's been walking for 2 whole days without even realizing. Crashed in this village is a spaceship which Finn believes may be the comet. Then, while at this village looking for water, Finn comes across his dad Martin, who talks about how he has the villagers working for him to get parts from the crashed spaceship to build him an escape pod shuttle. And I guess it turns out that the supposed comet was actually Martin crashing his spaceship. While talking with Martin, Finn notices he is missing his arm. Interesting. Martin says how he lost his arm when his ship crashed, and also realizes that Finn got his own arm back. After confirming with Finn that he doesn't want to tear his arm off anymore, Martin reveals that he actually still has his arm, and was playing things safe.
Is everything you say a lie?
No, of course not.
Is there any way I can tell the difference?
I hope not.
This guy really does seem to be a masterclass manipulator, huh? Finn then asks Martin about his biological mom and how he was born.
You were born on a boat, I guess, like a banana boat in the middle of the ocean.
Regarding his mom,
your mom was okay, I don't know. Talking about it stresses me out. Maybe later.
Then Martin says this.
So one day, I got called on a dangerous mission, and I couldn't bring you along. I always planned to come back for you, but I didn't. That's true. The end.
It's interesting that Martin says that's true, just like how Finn said it when talking to baby Finn. I'd think this probably means that Martin actually is telling the truth when saying he planned to come back, because this could be a representation of his subconscious connection with Finn and a deeper recognition of his real self, which is a dad that truly cares about Finn. But maybe truly somehow, events in his life just happened to play out in such a way that he never could come back for Finn. The universe may just have had bigger plans. Although during this particular time, that doesn't seem all that true in Finn's eyes, as after waking up to Martin about to leave without him, Finn gets mad at him and sends him off in the escape pod by himself. Then at the end of the episode, while finding his way home, Finn wonders to himself what that whole dream with the comet was even about, since apparently the comet didn't actually hit Earth, but rather it was Martin's spaceship. Well, in Season 6, Episode 39, titled Be Sweet, we get the first of many answers to this question of Finn's. While in bed, Sweet Pea mentions how he had another dream where he's a comet boy coming back to Earth over and over again. As well, he says how there was a fake comet that was a bearded man in a spaceship. Keep in mind, Sweet Pea is a transformation of the Lich after being healed by Guardian blood from the Citadel. It's rather weird that it would seem that he is connected to Finn somehow, considering he knows of the events with Martin crashing his spaceship. It's also interesting that he is having these visions similar to that of Finn, and things only get creepier as the episode ends with Sweet Pea saying this:
"The comet approaches."
Although, Sweet Pea isn't the only one having visions of this comet besides Finn. In Season 6, Episode 40, titled Orgalorg, Ice King's pet penguin Gunther has an accident with a walrus which cracks his skull open and exposes his brain, which causes him to begin having visions such as ones of the comet. These visions cause him to prepare a ritual, which sends a signal to another planet. After seeing the signal, the people of the planet mention how it's the signal of Orgalorg. But who even is Orgalorg? Well, the elders of this planet talk about how Orgalorg is an ancient cosmic entity who ruled the solar system in cruel ways. He only wanted more power, and his goal was to intercept and absorb a catalyst comet's essence. This is something which offended the king of Mars, who then ordered that Orgalorg be cast down. Grobgob Globgrod was the one to cast him down, and he was banished to Earth, where he would forget his identity. All while the gravity of Earth crushed Orgalorg into a new form, a powerless and cuddlesome one. After making contact with this planet through the ritual, Gunther remembers his past as Orgalorg and his banishment to Earth. Then in Season 6, Episode 42, titled Hot Diggity Doom, Finn notices the approaching catalyst comet is getting closer and closer, and things are turning purple.
Should we evacuate or what? No. It's cool, I think. It's just here to, shake things up, you know? It's okay. We've got sort of a relationship.
To try and help calm people down about the comet's arrival, Finn decides to go and get the new king of the Candy Kingdom, who just replaced Princess Bubblegum in the same episode after an election. While looking for him, he comes across a guy working on Princess Bubblegum's spaceship and adding engines to it. It turns out this guy is none other than Gunther. Then in Season 6, Episode 43, titled The Comet, Gunther's escaping on the spaceship, but Finn and Jake grab onto the ship to try and stop him.
Gunther! What are you doing?
What am I doing? A fog shrouds my true intent even from myself.
Once reaching outer space, because of no longer being compressed by Earth's gravity, Gunther changes form into Orgalorg and breaks the entire spaceship, which throws Finn and Jake into outer space with him. Orgalorg then grabs Finn and Jake and flings them away into space, leaving them drifting, and the two of them get separated.
Jake's gonna fulfill his croak dream after all!
Finn saying this is in reference to the dream of Jake's, which I talked about earlier. So is Jake about to die? Well, Finn for sure believes he himself is about to die, so he accepts his fate and begins to relax, knowing that he is exactly where he is for a reason.
Everything's falling into place. I'm right where I should be.
And it turns out Finn is correct, as Martin shows up on a giant moth, which he obtained in Season 6, Episode 41, titled On the Lamb. Finn is then saved by Martin, and he tells him how they need to go save Jake.
Like I said, I got no control over this beast. We're on a journey into mystery, unless I figure out what this bozo responds to.
The moth then begins to fly towards the catalyst comet.
This moth is so bananas, man.
Bananas, man. Bananas, man.
And Orgalorg then eats the catalyst comet, so Finn dives into his mouth to try and stop things. Now remember that thorn in Finn's hand from earlier? Well, it comes in handy and begins to slice apart Orgalorg from the inside and ends up defeating him, leaving the comet suspended in space, where it then cracks open and reveals an entity who begins to speak with Finn.
Finn, do you remember?
Yeah, I think so.
As Finn remembers, he recalls being the Comet and crashing on Earth, which caused him to become a butterfly. He mentions how him becoming a butterfly was a random absurd thing, which is a joke he's been playing out for centuries.
Who's creating the joke? Are you? And if so, then are you my creator?
Probably not.
Finn thinks he's probably not the creator, to which the Comet entity responds by saying, "Probably not, but who knows? I've been around forever and experienced so much impossible junk. I've embodied all that is good and evil, and now we're here. It's unprecedented."
And I give you a choice. Come with me to the end and the beginning, or struggle here a while like a beautiful autumn leaf. This is your crisis. As you stand on the edge of freedom.
The Comet entity continues by saying how Finn has a choice to separate himself from his human form, free of love, hate, friendship, isolation, jealousy, secrets, violence, video games, ice cream waffles, sadness, madness, power, honor, loyalty, saucy, mothers, fathers, and scoundrels.
You're telling me to abandon all this stuff, but you're not really making it sound bad.
It's not bad. I'm just giving you the choice of a new mode of existence.
Everything is working in perfect alignment. Finn can choose any life he wants to live and enter back into a God-conscious-like state, creating an entirely new existence for himself. Unlike before during Finn's astral projection, when Mars was supposedly facing destruction by the Catalyst Comet, which turned out to be Martin's spaceship. During that time, Finn thought that if being born is the greatest act of the universe, nothing else matters, especially if they're all going to be blown up by the comet anyway. It would seem that in that moment, by changing the course of this supposed comet to Earth, Grob Gob Glob Grod fulfilled his destiny. Also, Finn would later be faced with this same crisis himself, and so Finn could learn lessons from his encounter with Martin, as well as realize the extent of attachment which he has built towards his human form. Finn has now realized that he wants to see his current life play out, just because he can, and because it's fun. If Finn will eventually return to another mode of existence anyway, why not experience the human experience?
I feel like I put a lot of work into this meat reality. I'd like to see it through.
After Finn chooses to continue existing as a human, Martin says how he would like a new mode of existence himself.
Are you seriously trying to bail out again?
You burn enough bridges, the only direction to move is forward.
Well, there ain't no changing you, I guess.
Well, I'm glad we finally understand each other.
Martin then vanishes from reality with the Comet entity, as he enters a new mode of existence.
Goodbye, son!
Bye, Dad.
Right after this, Finn gets bumped by Jake's spacesuit and gets excited, but Jake is not inside. Except soon enough, Jake shows up with Banana Man on a spaceship. So I guess maybe Jake didn't die in his premonition dream, and was saved by Banana Man right before suffocating to death. Or maybe Finn's choice to stay as a human created a split in timelines, one where Jake dies, and one where he doesn't, as he does have a central role in the function of the universe, and he could in some way potentially be the creator of the universe, because he is the Catalyst Comet which brings major change. Maybe if Finn chose to leave the human experience, Jake would have died, just like in his dream where he seemingly dies because Finn isn't there. But since Finn chose to stay as a human, Jake lived. Because of that very choice, Finn stayed within Jake's reality, meaning he is still with him within the same experience of life, therefore causing the dream to not be fulfilled.
Well, I was just floating around and I drifted into B-Man's flight path. It's pretty random, right?
It wasn't random, I did it.
And on top of Finn saying this, while watching their spaceship come back to Earth, Princess Bubblegum says this.
You think Finn and Jake are alright?
I'd say it's about a 50-50 chance.
That's pretty much everything in life, isn't it?
This could definitely be an allusion to it being 50-50 if Finn decided to stay human or not, and how reality is affected and potentially split by that individual choice, with the choice determining if both Finn and Jake are dead or not. On their way back to Earth, Finn and Jake also drag Orgalorg back with Banana Man's spaceship, where he turns back to being Gunther, although the potentially reality-altering events don't even stop here for Finn. As in Season 7, Episode 23 titled Crossover, the fate of the multiverse is at stake. When Finn and Jake get a call from Prismo through a jar of his pickles, they go visit him. While at the time room, Prismo lets them know that the farm world Finn from earlier, who went crazy from the crown, is trying to use his universe's Enchiridion to create a portal to the multiverse. As it turns out that after Jake made his wish earlier, farm world Finn became his own being within the multiverse. If farm world Finn manages to do this, it could potentially be catastrophic. Because Prismo's powers are limited due to events going on in farm world, Prismo can't simply fix the timeline himself. So he sends Finn and Jake to farm world with a special device to take care of farm world Ice Finn.
Take this and use it to take care of the Ice Fin.
Wait, what do you mean by take care of?
Good luck, guys. We're all depending on you.
While watching Farmworld Finn performing a ritual with his universe's Enchiridion, Finn and Jake debate over what Prismo meant by taking care of this Finn and mess up Prismo's plan by deciding to try and steal the Enchiridion instead of using Prismo's device. This allows the Farmworld Lich to be able to bring the Jewels of Power to the Enchiridion and open a portal to the multiverse. Farmworld Finn believed that the portal was being opened so he could try and save everyone across infinity, although his version of saving people is trapping them in ice to keep them safe, because he's been driven mad by the crown. And this whole time, the Lich has been manipulating him by taking the form of Jake, so Farmworld Finn would do his bidding and assist him in reaching his goal of accessing the multiverse so he can kill everyone across infinity, just like how the Lich faked being Billy to manipulate Finn earlier. After seeing Finn and Jake trying to put a stop to things, the Lich begins trying to kill Jake, but luckily Finn's grass hand takes over and cuts the hand of the Lich off in order to free him. As Jake falls to the ground beside the portal, the Lich's hand falls on top of him, and Jake then accidentally pushes the hand into the portal while getting it off himself, which causes the Lich's hand to get sent to every reality in the multiverse. Now that Farmworld Finn has realized that the Lich betrayed him, he takes his crown's jewel out of the Enchiridion to regain his power so he can try and fight him, which closes the multiverse portal. Finn's grass arm then slaps the crown off of Farmworld Finn, which allows Finn to talk to him, and somewhat get through to him now that his brain is no longer actively being corrupted by the crown.
Your name is Finn Mertens! Your whole thing is you want to help people, remember? We can fix all this!
Using the weapon which Prismo gave Finn and Jake. Together, both Finns then banish the Lich from Farmworld, and Farmworld is able to return to normal. Then, Finn and Jake are taken back to the time room by Prismo, but Finn tells Prismo how if Farmworld Finn has access to that crown, he'll stay messed up forever. So Prismo then edits the Farmworld reality so that when the bomb originally went off, the crown was still near it, instead of with Farmworld Finn, meaning the explosion destroyed the crown, which allowed for Farmworld Finn's life to go back to being completely normal. But you know what isn't normal? How about the fact that Finn literally has a living sword with his own essence inside? And I just briefly brushed over that earlier. Finn's sword is actually very important to Finn's story. Let me tell you why. In Season 8, Episode 5, titled I Am a Sword, Finn accidentally loses Finn's sword by dropping him off a bridge. And this single event has a major impact on the future. After searching for Finn's sword for a long time, Jake brings Finn home, and a thief ends up finding Finn's sword and using him to do terrible things, like robbing people. Because of Finn's link to Finn's sword, he is able to see these kinds of events take place in his dreams. So using this connection they have, Finn tracks him down and ends up fighting the bandit who stole him. During the fight, while using the grass sword, which is now part of his hand, Finn accidentally shatters Finn's sword, which knocks him out due to their connection. And the tip of his grass sword breaks off and merges into Finn's sword. Jake then saves Finn and takes the broken sword, and puts it as a display piece over their fireplace at home. During Season 8, Episode 10, titled The Music Hole, Finn is depressed over accidentally breaking Finn's sword, and randomly during the same time, he begins hearing music playing which other people are unable to hear.
Do you guys hear that? Hear what? It's like a beautiful voice singing with itself, an entire universe vibrating in harmony.
After following the sound, Finn comes across a living hole in the ground.
I've been here singing from the very beginning of Ooh. Since I can't move from this spot, singing is my only outlet. I can neither participate in joy nor prevent disaster.
The hole lets Finn know that only two kinds of people can hear its song: those who see the world with pure childlike wonder, and those with a deep sense of loss in their hearts.
I don't know about child eyes, but I have been going through a rough patch.
This hole actually ends up coming back later in Finn's story, and gives us more insight into understanding him. So stay tuned for that. Surprisingly enough, this hole actually isn't the only weird being of nature which Finn has a special personal connection with. As in Season 8, Episode 12, titled Preboot, while adventuring with Jake and their friend Susan, Finn comes across a high-tech lab run by a human named Dr. Gross. Coming across other humans is not ordinary for Finn, so this encounter definitely surprised him.
Wait, other humans? There are more humans?
Dr. Gross seems to want to force other humans into the modern age by modifying their bodies with cyborg tech.
None of you normies know what you want. So it's up to me and my hybrid army to drag all the other humans into a golden age.
But understandably, Finn doesn't want these modifications forced on him, so he escapes the lab. Then in Season 8, Episode 13, titled Reboot, after escaping, an eel-animal hybrid experiment of Dr. Gross is headed towards the Candy Kingdom. So Finn goes to stop it, but instead of stopping it, he gets stopped by it. Susan then tries to help Finn, and gets zapped by the eel which fries a brain implant she has. Due to this malfunction, she begins acting very weird and kidnaps Finn. With Finn in hand, she mentions how she is going to a coastal extraction point and brings Finn to the ocean's beach. While looking to the horizon of the beach, she says this:
monitoring signals from our home.
What could our home possibly mean? As Jake comes to stop Susan, he accidentally causes her brain implant to send a signal somewhere unknown, and after getting free, Finn manages to shatter Susan's implant using the broken Finn sword, which causes her to return to normal. But his grass arm takes over control and tries to strangle her. Luckily, after some fighting with his very own arm, Finn gains some control over it and Susan is let go. But the arm doesn't stop having a mind of its own and decides to merge forms with Finn's sword, causing Finn to once again lose his arm. He really can't catch a break with his arm, huh? This merging of Finn's grass arm with Finn's sword then causes the birth of a strange grass creature. Then in Season 8, Episode 14, titled Two Swords, Finn is in the hospital getting his arm replaced with a robotic arm by Princess Bubblegum, and he explains to her the situation involving this grass creature. Apparently during his encounter with the grass creature, it changed form to look just like him, and it would seem that its mind works the same as Finn's on top of this, as it was protective of Susan when Finn tried to touch her.
You keep your hands off of my friend! What are you on about?
Finn and this grass guy then began to argue over which one of them is Finn Mertens, and Jake got protective over Finn and called the grass guy a demon, which scared him away. From there, this grass guy then heads to Finn and Jake's treehouse while Finn is still in the hospital, and begins looking at a photo album of Finn and Jake. While looking through it, he recalls Finn's memories as if they're his own, and recalls his time living in the Finn sword, and when the grass sword broke it. After the sword broke, the Finn living inside encountered a spider-like creature, which came from the grass sword.
Who are you?
Oh, you know, a curse. An emissary from beyond. Ah! Grass demon!
This spider then trapped Sword Finn in webbing, like the cocoon of a butterfly.
When we get out of here, let me do the talking.
After coming back from the hospital, Finn acknowledges how this new grass Finn is him.
Grass me. Do you want a Finn cake?
Only Finns get Finn cakes.
That's true.
So instead of fighting, he tries befriending him and lets him sleep at his treehouse. Grass Finn saying that's true would seem to be the same as earlier, with Finn's dad and Finn with baby Finn. It's like a recognition of some deep universal truth. So it would seem that Grass Finn and Finn are in fact both Finn, and are the same being, although a huge problem comes from this, as Grass Finn begins to really struggle with his own personal identity. In Season 8, Episode 15 titled Do No Harm, Grass Finn and Jake are hanging out while Finn is away, and Grass Finn grows angry over not being able to do many of the things which Finn can, such as eating meatloaf.
You lost some there.
I guess grass boys don't get any meatloaf.
Jake tries to help make him feel better by reminding him how he loves fighting evil, so he suggests that they should go and fight evil, with Grass Finn leading the way on this adventure. This leads them to end up coming across the wizard who gave Finn the cursed grass sword, and the wizard tells Grass Finn that because he is his creation, he has to do as he says, and tells him to chop up Jake, but clearly the mind of Finn is more dominant within Grass Finn than the grass curse is, because he refuses to hurt Jake and beats up the wizard. This is Grass Finn's first step in claiming his own sense of individual identity, and he decides to do this after his adventure with Jake.
Good job, Grass me.
But I'm not you. It's clear that I'm someone else. So from now on, call me Fern, the human.
Just like Fern, Finn has been able to claim some of his own sense of identity through events like those with his dad, as well as the Comet entity. But Finn still doesn't exactly understand his human identity, as he is unaware of who his real mom even is, because he's been disconnected from not just her, but humans as a whole during his entire life. So Finn wants answers. In Season 8, Episode 20 titled Islands Part 1, The Invitation, Finn goes on a quest to find some of these answers. Because of Susan's automatic distress call from Season 8, Episode 13, a robot comes to find her. While on this mission, it fights off all beings which it considers mutants. When Finn goes to fight it, for some reason it doesn't fight back, but rather refers to him as PG-87. Because he's a human, the robot tells Finn that he will assist it in seeking Susan. Jake then smashes the robot, believing it's evil, and Finn becomes a bit upset about this, because he thinks it could have been a key in discovering some of the secrets of humans, although not all hope is lost, as luckily Princess Bubblegum and BMO are able to extract data from the broken robot and find its origin. So Finn, Jake, Susan, and BMO decide to travel to the origin point, in hopes of potentially coming across human life, and head out to sea together.
We'll be back soon, I promise!
Bye! Good luck! He'll be safe.
Then in Season 8, Episode 22 titled Islands Part 3, Mysterious Island, Finn finds himself washed up on an island after being attacked by a giant robot while at sea in the previous episode. While on this island, Jake, Susan, and BMO are nowhere to be found. Finn is all alone, at least until he stumbles across a hermit human named Alva. She doesn't speak English, but still houses Finn, and shows him a recording of some of her history with other humans before she somehow became a hermit. Eventually they end up finding Jake together, and Alva points out how there are more islands near where they are, so Finn believes that BMO and Susan must have potentially washed up on them. And in Season 8, Episode 23, titled Islands Part 4, Imaginary Resources. Together, Finn and Jake set off on a bird, in hopes of finding them at one of the other islands. Eventually they reach an island which seems to be a very technologically advanced city that's been abandoned.
Is this whole place a fancy human graveyard?
So far, it would seem so, Jake. While exploring, they come across BMO, who is inside virtual reality, so they decide to enter the virtual reality world, and end up coming across BMO, as well as other players inside. But who are these other players inside the world? Well, while talking to BMO in this world, he says how he doesn't want to leave the virtual world and come back to reality. So Jake decides that he's gonna just leave the world himself and take BMO's goggles off. Except there's a problem with that idea. When trying to take off the goggles, they don't allow Jake to remove them. So Jake decides to try and find a solution, and follows a small robot which is flying around the city. This leads him to a room where there are a bunch of humans inside of pods being maintained by these same little robots, all while they live inside the virtual world. Wow, and to think our reality could get like this. Jeez. Jake then ends up turning off the entire simulation.
BMO's pretty upset with you.
Why'd you tell him it was me?
You want me to lie to him?
Yes, he's our son.
And this causes all the humans of the city to come back to the real world. And chaos ensues as they don't know how to function that well outside of the virtual world anymore. But luckily, after getting BMO back into the real world, the little robots repair the simulation, and the humans return back to the virtual world. It's Finn's first encounter with this many humans, and this is what he gets to see. Yikes, what a species humans are. Anyway, now it's time for them to head off to the next island in hopes of finding Susan. In Season 8, Episode 24, titled Islands Part 5, Hide and Seek, they find Susan. But it would appear that she is sleepwalking in the middle of the day. It turns out that she is connecting to a flashback of hers, where her past life living on this island is shown. During her time on this island, she was trained at a school by the same Dr. Gross from earlier, using brain implants to upload knowledge into her. Her training was to become what the humans call a seeker. These seekers are able to be controlled by their higher-ups through their brain implants, almost like human robots. And the job of one is to bring back people who are trying to leave the human utopia. Because the founders of the human utopia believe that the outside world has become incredibly dangerous, due to the bomb which created Finn's homeland, as well as mutants. So they want to keep people safe and away from these potential dangers. I know I'm talking about Susan right now, and not Finn, but this flashback of hers is actually quite important, as it shows Susan preventing Finn's dad Martin from escaping by throwing a boat onto his legs, and then bringing him to a hospital where a nurse named Minerva helps him. Then after coming back from her flashbacks, Susan says this to Finn.
My name is Kara.
After recalling her past, in Season 8, Episode 25, titled Islands Part 6, Min and Marty, Susan guides Finn and Jake to a ship so they can go to what she calls Founders Island.
So wait, why are we going to Founders Island?
I'm taking you back to your mom.
You knew my mom? You're just gonna drop that?
Her name is Minerva. She's a helper.
So Finn's mom is the same nurse who helped Martin in Susan's flashback. After Susan reveals this to Finn, we are shown important events of the past which played out with Minerva and Martin. It turns out that Martin was actually playing both sides, by helping people escape the human utopia, while also simultaneously letting Seekers know about them, all so he could get cool gadgets from people he'd screw over. At one point, some people which he was helping escape didn't fully trust him, so they forced him to come along with them to run away, which is what led to him being caught by Susan, and ending up in the hospital. During his time in the hospital with Minerva, Martin ends up falling in love with her. But there's a problem, as he's supposed to be taken away to a re-education camp during his healing process, which will retrain him to not try to keep escaping. Due to Martin's charm and ability to manipulate people, Minerva begins to fall in love with him right back, even while recognizing his con man-like abilities.
So what are you? A con artist or something?
Yeah, you make it sound so glamorous.
So when people come to take Martin away to re-education camp, Minerva decides to lie to them and tells them that Martin's not in suitable condition to go.
Turns out he's medically unfit for re-ed. He's got a rare condition called garbage body.
That sounds completely fake. Coming from anybody but you, Dr. Campbell.
That was breathtaking con work, Doc.
From here, the two of them go on a date, and their relationship grows stronger and stronger. Later on, Martin is even shown standing beside Minerva as she gets an award for being a friend of the Seekers, all while the same people who were caught by Seekers when forcing Martin to escape with them see this on TV while in re-education camp. Martin and Minerva then end up deciding to begin living with each other, and together they have baby Finn. Their life with one another looks fantastic. But great things don't last so long for them. One night while Minerva is away from home, Martin is left alone with baby Finn, and the same people who got sent to re-education camp because of trying to escape with him break into his house for revenge. Martin is left with no other choice but to run for his life with baby Finn, so he books it, then grabs a raft which he has stashed away, and sets off away from shore and into the ocean. He and baby Finn are safe now. Or are they? As the two of them are stopped by the same Guardian robot which Finn was beached by, Martin needs to take action, fast, before he and Finn are potentially killed. So he goes and breaks the Guardian's eye, which causes him to get launched into the ocean, and baby Finn is left to drift away, off to the land of Ooh. With just his teddy bear and an infinite bread wand gadget of Martin's, it would seem Martin truly did have Finn's best interest in mind all along, and was a loving father. But the past choices he made to manipulate people for his own benefit caught up with him. As well, I believe there's even more reason to what makes Martin misunderstood. Cause remember earlier how Martin told Finn he was born in the ocean?
You were born on a boat, I guess, like a banana boat in the middle of the ocean?
Well, we now know that's a lie, as Finn was born before the incident with the raft, and not born on the raft boat itself. But during the same story, Martin did get some things right, while mixing up plenty of others. For instance, during his story he mentions how it was a banana boat, which it wasn't. As well, he mentions how there was a tiger, which is somewhat true, but as we now know, the tiger was part of what caused him to flee, but wasn't on the boat itself. Maybe when he got blasted into the ocean by the explosion of the Guardian's eye, it potentially caused him some memory loss due to a traumatic injury. As well, on top of this, during his time in the hospital with Minerva, he injures himself, and she says this:
"You're not sleeping tonight. You've got serious concussion."
Serious concussions can cause memory loss. We know for a fact that he got one in the hospital, and then potentially got yet another from fighting the Guardian. That much trauma could definitely really mess up someone's head. These reasons could potentially be why Martin seemed to have no care for Finn when they were reunited.
Finn's your son.
Son? No. Hey, good for you, kid. In other news, I still gotta get out of here and the ground is melting.
Because maybe he didn't even fully remember Finn, and couldn't 100% trust that he even is his son. So it would seem that just as he said to Finn earlier,
I always planned to come back for you, but I didn't. That's true.
He probably actually did want to come back for him. Him saying that's true is a deep subconscious recognition of his true deep love for Finn, despite his traumatic injuries which may have made him forget. Regardless of his conman ways of the past, Martin wanted to be a good father for Finn, but it would seem that the universe decided to not allow for it. Also, Finn could be put on his exact life path. Martin not being there for Finn was absolutely key in Finn becoming the person he is. Unfortunately, part of that necessary growth for Finn involved him not being provided with all the answers as to why his dad is how he is. And Finn wasn't the only person who was left feeling betrayed by how Martin's life played out. Sadly, Minerva was absolutely crushed by this incident with Martin and baby Finn, left without answers to the truth of what happened, probably believing that maybe Martin truly was just a con man all along, one who only wanted to leave the island, and that he used her to avoid the Seekers and re-education.
Don't understand.
The fallout caused from these events was catastrophic for Minerva, and in Season 8, Episode 26, titled Islands Part 7, Helpers, we get to see how so. As Finn's adventure to find her continues, using the human tech they came across while on the other island, Susan tracks Minerva's brainwave signature, which leads them to another island with an advanced human civilization full of humans, ones who are not all inside of virtual reality. This island is called Founders Island, and after landing, Jake asks a local where Minerva is.
Where's Minerva? Man, that's a pretty weird question. Minerva's everywhere.
Interesting response. Eventually they find Minerva, and when Finn goes up to her, she seems to be acting a bit weird.
Did you lose a son?
Careful, citizens. Litter can be unattractive, but dangerous as well. Hello, young man. Is there anything I can help you with?
This is going a lot different than I pictured it.
Well, it turns out there are multiple Minervas, who all have the duty of helping citizens. And because of Finn and Jake's disturbance, these Minervas put them to sleep and bring them to a prison-like chamber. After taking a DNA sample of Finn, the Minervas realize he is their son. So is Finn like the child of some weird hive mind or something? Well, not exactly. One of the Minervas brings him to a room where another Minerva is on a computer monitor, and she speaks with Finn. During this, she refers to all the other Minervas as Minerva bots. So I guess all those Minervas are robots? The Minerva on the computer monitor then begins telling a story of the past. She explains how a while back, because of her heartbreak from losing Finn and Martin unexpectedly, the most powerful seeker, Susan, was sent away from the human utopia to find them. And after years of nothing, she just continued to spiral into a deeper and deeper depression. Because of this depression, Dr. Gross was left uncontrolled and began doing weird science experiments, which led her to accidentally release a catastrophic virus, one which caused the death of countless humans, including the death of every single doctor who was trying to help people. Minerva eventually became the only doctor left. But even she wasn't safe from the virus, and due to her increasing critical condition from catching it, as a last-ditch effort, she decided to upload her brain map to a central computer and create hundreds of robot helpers of herself to try and maintain humanity. So I suppose even this Minerva on the computer monitor is just a computer recreation of her consciousness and isn't a real person. At least after this dark backstory, Minerva happily concludes it by saying how now that Finn is back, he can live safely in the utopia forever, and it would be his best bet to do so. As in Season 8, Episode 27, titled Islands Part 8, The Light Cloud, the Minerva AI explains to Finn that if he leaves, the Ocean Guardian will statistically almost certainly kill him. But Finn doesn't care, and wants to return home anyway.
I'm gonna leave this place and take everyone to freedom!
Okay, sweetie, but I think you'll find everyone's pretty happy here.
So he then goes to convince the citizens of Founders Island to leave with him, and after seeing that these people surprisingly want to go with Finn and potentially risk their safety, Minerva tries to prevent it in order to help them stay safe. So Finn shows Minerva that even while living in his chaotic land of Oo, he's been able to help people, just like how she has.
Finn, you grew up to be a helper too. If your world taught you to behave like that, maybe it's not all bad.
This causes her to change her opinion on keeping everyone in the human utopia, and she decides to allow them to leave if they so choose. Funnily enough though, while Finn is leaving, basically all the humans end up deciding to stay behind anyway. So just Finn, Jake, BMO, Susan, and Susan's old friend Frida from the island decide to leave together. While leaving, they use Minerva's programming to make the Guardian retire and stand down. Then Susan and Frida leave to go on their own journey together, and after finally meeting his mother in a rather strange way, Finn says his last goodbye to her in the virtual world as he returns to Oo.
Goodbye.
In Season 9, Episode 1, titled Orb, on their way back to Oo, while going to sleep on the boat, which is full of bananas, a mysterious orb shows up. This orb causes Finn, Jake, and BMO to have weird nightmares, which are interlinked with each other. While inside this linked dream world, after piecing parts of the dreamscape together, they come across a being known as Nightmare Princess, who seems to want bananas from their boat. So they give her bananas, and in exchange she gives them a weird potion of some kind. Interesting. It would seem bananas may have some kind of deep meaning regarding interconnectivity of consciousness. Because remember how when incorrectly recalling Finn's birth, Martin mentioned how he believed they were on a banana boat.
You were born on a boat, I guess, like a banana boat in the middle of the ocean?
Although later we found out that Martin's raft didn't have any bananas. Yet now this boat which Finn is leaving on is in fact a banana boat. Also, remember Banana Man from Jake's premonition dream? Interesting. Maybe bananas are a symbol which represent key events of destiny, or something along those lines. There's definitely deep meaning to Finn finding himself on a banana boat right after gaining some closure regarding his mom, as well as after showing her how he's been able to be a hero despite his personal circumstances while living without her. Through his own lessons he's implemented into his life up to this point, Finn was able to change even his own mom's mind on what it can mean to be a good person who helps others. He no longer has to let his biological parents guide his life by chasing answers which ultimately aren't all too satisfying, nor chase answers regarding what humans are like, as he himself even more so now knows who he truly is, and that's all that matters. So I guess maybe Martin actually was correct when saying Finn was born on a banana boat, but not in the literal sense, as while leaving the human islands on a banana boat, Finn has been reborn into a new version of himself, one free of being held down by the past and letting others control his life so much, as well free of being controlled by assumptions of what the future holds, just for it to not play out how you expected.
The Citadel is a nasty-sized prison.
Hey, my dad must be like the warden there.
Is there anything I can help you with?
This is going a lot different than I pictured it.
Once stepping off this banana boat, Finn will be a new person coming back to Oo. But it's not just Finn which has changed, because as the land of Oo becomes visible in the distance, things look, let's just say, strange.
How's it look, BMO?
Like a dream.
Once they arrive, it's a completely different place, and the people are very divided. But eventually, the land is returned back to normal after many characters go through deep personal lessons and come together as one to fix things. At this moment, I'm not going to do a full breakdown of the Elements miniseries, which contains the episodes involving this whole change of Finn's homeland, as I believe this miniseries is more essential to Adventure Time's story as a whole, more so than to Finn's story specifically. Plus, this video would be probably like another hour long if I dove into that, so yeah. Although, do let me know in the comments if you potentially want a video explaining all of this miniseries sometime in the future. Anyway, in Season 9, Episode 13 titled Whispers. After Oo is back to normal, Finn and Fern come across Sweet Pea, who is running through the forest scared. After stopping him, Sweet Pea says that it was the monster who whispers to him bad thoughts which scared him. And last night he saw the monster in his bedroom and has been running since.
It sounds like you might just be having bad dreams.
No, I only have one dream anymore.
Oh no. So Finn and Fern decide to comfort Sweet Pea by sleeping with him at nighttime, and things begin to get scary for not just Sweet Pea, but Finn as well. During the night, Finn hears something off in the woods, but it would seem it turns out to have just been Mr. Fox.
Can I help you?
We heard you scuttling around and thought...
What? You didn't hear me scuttling around. Foxes are silent hunters. I mean, geez, do you know how rude that is?
Sorry, man.
Up until Finn and Fern turn to Sweet Pea, and the Lich's hand from earlier when Jake knocked it into the multiverse portal is seen on top of him.
That vessel may appear harmless, but he came from me. Once I remind him of his legacy, the Lich shall reign once more.
Sweet Pea is then controlled by the Lich, and captures Finn as the hand runs away to the Well of Power and releases control on Sweet Pea.
Why did Mr. Hand call me son?
So Finn then chases after the hand while telling Fern to stay with Sweet Pea.
Okay, Lich, get ready to die. Again, for like the 5th time.
Does the Lich ever go away? Like, seriously. While at the well, the hand knocks Finn over, causing him to be hanging onto the ledge of the well about to die. But Sweet Pea comes to the rescue and slays the hand.
Hooray!
But where's Fern?
He won't let me follow you, so I knocked him out cold.
Because of Sweet Pea being able to knock out Fern and escape, Fern continues to grow resentment towards Finn, believing he himself can never do things right, like how Finn can.
I can't even guard a baby. I'll always just be in the shadow of the real Finn. Unless I could become the only Finn.
And in Season 9, Episode 14 titled 3 Buckets, Fern begins to execute this plan. While at the treehouse, Finn is talking to Jake and says this.
You coming?
Nah, me and Fern are supposed to clean out the chicken coop today.
It turns out that this slip-up was made because this supposed Finn is actually Fern, but it's actually not as sinister as you may think. Because once Jake is gone, it's revealed that it turns out that during this time tricking him, Finn was watching Fern doing it. They just wanted to play a little prank on Jake together, and Finn views it as just a cool trick which Fern can do. The only problem is that Finn ends up not being a part of the joke soon enough, as Fern offers Finn to explore secret ruins together with him, while Jake is doing his own thing. So they head off to do so, and Fern leads Finn to a trap in the ruins and locks him inside.
I think I'm gonna be a really great Finn. I'll be back in a month with a new bucket of trash.
Later! I've been double-crossed by Grass Finn!
While in the trap, Finn discovers that his robot arm has voice controls, as well as other hidden functions. So he then uses a rock drill function to escape, and catches up with Fern. After he catches up, Finn notices that Fern looks weird, due to the curse.
What are you?
A weed whacker.
Fern then begins attacking Finn, and Finn wants this fighting to stop so they can just go home together.
It doesn't have to end like this. Today doesn't have to have this kind of finality.
Fatality.
Finn is left traumatized from essentially ending himself.
I know that look. You just killed someone.
While Finn is being comforted about the events which just took place, a guy named Uncle Gumbald is shown collecting the remains of Fern. But what could he possibly want with these remains? Well, there's an answer to that in the finale of the series. In Season 10, Episode 13 through 16, titled Come Along With Me, things start out in the future, and two beings known as Shermie and Beth, who seem particularly similar to Finn and Jake, end up finding Finn's robotic arm. So what exactly happened to Finn? Why is his arm laying around? Did something bad happen? Well, the two of them decide to go and find the current king to ask him about it, and get some answers. knows? According to legends, the King of Oo has lived forever, so maybe he knows. After reaching his house, it turns out that this king is none other than Bimo. They ask him about Finn's arm, and he begins to tell them a story, which we can only hope is at least somewhat accurate, as he remembers Finn's name to be Phil, so who knows?
We came here to ask about something. Do you recognize it?
Yeah, it belonged to my best friend. His name was Phil.
Bimo starts by explaining an event known as the Great Gum War. During this time, Princess Bubblegum and her uncle Gumbald were at war with one another.
The biggest fight that Oo had ever seen.
Finn knew that this war won't fix anything.
This is all wrong. Even if she wins now, this is never gonna end. I can feel it. It's like the whole world's going crazy, man. Like we're living in one big nightmare.
So he tells Princess Bubblegum to not go to war.
Please listen to me. We've been friends for a long time.
Luckily, she decides to listen and tries forming a truce with Gumbald, who has a remake of Fern constructed from the scraps which he got earlier as his right-hand man. Sadly, this attempt at a truce doesn't work so well. So, Jake then pulls out the potion from earlier which they got from Nightmare Princess and throws it on the ground, knocking everyone out and sending them all to a merged dream world. Finn suggests that Princess Bubblegum and Gumbald sort things out while inside the dream world.
We need love, not war.
Good idea. Love bazooka! Put down your weapons or I'll bazooka you!
No! Clearly, this isn't working well, and Gumbald wants to wake himself up so he can kill everyone in the real world. While he's trying to do so, Finn and Fern go through a journey of discovering shared torment, despite Fern thinking he's much different than Finn, and therefore should dislike him.
We're two sides of the same coin.
You'll never understand what it's like to be me. I'm tormented.
I'm also that sometimes.
Prove it, or I'll never stop fighting you.
Jake's got proving it covered, as he ends up finding Finn's vault of repressed memories while in the dreamscape, and opens it in front of Finn and Fern while they are continuing to fight.
See? This is our shared torment! We gotta confront them head on!
As well, remember the shared torment from earlier, where Finn was able to see Finn's sword being used for evil in his dreams? They are one and the same. After Fern realizes how similar the two of them truly are, he agrees to defeat their torment together, and they go find the grass-cursed spider.
So you're the nasty grasswad that's been holding my Finn boy hostage.
Without me, he's got no body. So back off.
You sicken me.
As one, they defeat the curse, which grows their bond when they eventually come back to the regular world. Princess Bubblegum and Gumbald also had a somewhat similar experience with potential to grow their bond. And although Princess Bubblegum had an epiphany of love, Gumbald didn't, and still wanted to try and turn her into a dumb candy person, but was stopped by Princess Bubblegum's Aunt Lolly.
He never was the epiphany type.
Now that things seem to be sorted, there is no need for war, and the two opposing sides come together.
Two candy kingdoms it is!
Hooray! But it's not all a happy ending, as Bimo begins to tell the story of what he calls the end of the world. After peace is made, Golb, the embodiment of chaos and disorder, comes from the sky and begins mutating and destroying everything. So everyone must work together to fight him. The fate of Oo is at risk.
My friends, it is time to set aside past differences. We must join the fight!
Ice King's past lover Betty is the one trying to harness the power of Golb, and Ice King is the only one who can stop her. This leads to him and Betty getting eaten by Golb while he tries to stop things. So Finn goes to save them, and his robot arm gets bitten off and falls to the ground as he enters Golb's mouth. So I guess that's what happened to his arm. While inside of Golb, the three of them are being digested slowly, broken apart, layer by layer, down to their essential forms, causing Ice King's crown to become powerless and unable to be used to help them. Everything is falling apart for Finn. The end of Oo is near. Golb's monsters are so powerful. Many of Finn's friends are being defeated left and right. Not even Jake can stop them, and he's left helpless, while forced to witness the destruction of his and Finn's treehouse. As his home turns to dust, Jake begins to panic, as he must accept that the end has come. While accepting his fate, Bimo comes to comfort him, and begins singing.
How about today, you let me be the papa? Time is an illusion that helps things make sense. So we are always living in the present tense.
As Bimo sings, it would seem that his singing is a repellent to Golb's monsters. Because Golb is chaos and discord, harmony is the counter to him and his monsters.
Keep singing!
Okay, will happen.
happened.
Is this a potential sign of hope? Well, after this discovery, everyone begins singing in harmony to try and stop Gulb, all while Finn, Ice King, also known as Simon, and Betty are almost fully crushed inside Gulb. The vibrations of the singing cause an exit path to form, and the power of Ice King's crown seems to have returned. Finn and Ice King are excited to escape, but Betty acknowledges that because of the crown being reset through its different layers, it has now entered its primal wishing form. She says how the world will end unless Gulb is banished, and that the crown could revert once they leave Gulb's inside. So Betty concludes that she must stay behind to wish for Gulb's banishment.
I'm sorry for messing everything up.
Wait! Betty! Betty!
After being left behind while Finn and Ice King escape, Betty tries wishing for the banishment of Gulb, but it doesn't work. Due to his superior power in comparison to the crown, her death is near, and she begins to panic. During this panic, she comes up with a potential solution.
However it has to happen. I wish for the power to keep Simon safe.
This wish causes her to merge forms with Gulb. She may not be able to banish him, but she can become him, therefore banishing the monsters to keep Simon safe. And she then leaves Ooh, leaving only Simon's crown behind as she disappears. Although it would seem things are finally fine now, Fern is decaying due to the death of the grass-cursed spider from earlier, which is now causing his body to disappear. While decaying, Fern wishes to see the treehouse once more.
Let's go there right now.
That's okay. Just promise to plant me there.
Finn then takes the seed of Fern which is left behind, and plants him at the destroyed treehouse, which causes a tree with the Finn sword inside of it to grow. Shortly after these events, we are shown both Finn and Jake laying near the music hole from earlier and reflecting on what just happened. They are now both able to hear it, instead of just Finn, as they both have a deep sense of loss in their hearts from losing Fern and their treehouse, while also simultaneously having a sense of childlike wonder, not fully knowing what's next in their journey together. After core elements of their past have been lost, there's now plenty of future opportunity. As well, a cool artistic note to add is that during the past, when Finn was at the music hole feeling sad, the color of things was much less bright and desaturated, but now the color is more vibrant as he has a new positive outlook. And while laying near the music hole, Jake says this to Finn.
I never would have gotten out of there without your singing. It's amazing how strong that song was.
Music is powerful, man. It speaks to a primal pit in our brains.
So Finn asks the music hole its thoughts on this. It agrees with Jake and says how it has its own song, which is about a really specific feeling that's hard to describe, and begins singing the closing theme of Adventure Time, which plays after every episode. In my opinion, this song has very deep meaning to Finn's story as a whole, as some of the lyrics go like this: "We can gaze upon the water as an everlasting dream, all of my collections. I'll share them all with you, maybe by next summer. We won't have changed our tunes. We'll still want to be, with the butterflies and bees, making up new numbers, and living so merrily. I'll be here for you always, and always be with you." I believe that the part "we can gaze upon the water as an everlasting dream" is alluding to Finn's whole life often feeling like a dream. Sometimes it's a positive one, and other times it's a nightmare. We do know that Finn himself is more than human. Water is something which is very human, and is a key component of human existence. Water was even something which caused Finn fear. Yet humans need water to survive. While gazing at water, it grounds you to your human form, a form which can experience fear, thirst, and so on. But at the end of the day, for Finn, his humanity is a temporary dream, with a feeling of it being everlasting when viewed in the time frame of a human life. Because Finn has been other things besides human, and likely will become more non-human things during his time across infinity. The next part of the song, "All of My Collections, I'll Share Them All With You," I believe is alluding to how during Finn's time as a human, he shares not only his human experiences, but as well his beyond human experiences with others. Because by combining all aspects of his very being, both human and not, it makes him who he is, and makes him a hero who can share his positivity with others around him, while helping guide them towards self-discovery as well.
Billy, an old lady told me that I shouldn't listen to you because you're old. Also, that I should do what I was born to do, which is kicking buns.
Perhaps you're right.
Then the next part of the song, which goes "Maybe by next summer, we won't have changed our tunes." I believe that it's alluding to how the Catalyst Comet comes in seasons of 1,000 years. Its arrival is like summer coming and going. And this time around when the comet came and gave Finn the choice to change his very mode of existence, he chose to stay as a human. That's where the "we won't have changed our tunes" part comes in, as he chose to stay on the same conscious frequency as a human, rather than switching to another tune. Then when the song says we'll still want to be, with the butterflies and bees, making up new numbers, and living so merrily, I believe it is saying how Finn made his choice to stay human simply because he wanted to. And because of this choice, he gets to continue to live on Earth with creatures like butterflies and bees. The butterflies represent his past lives, as we know he existed as one before, and the bees represent him following his heart to build the future. Just like how in the episode with Breezy, a bee helped teach Finn a lesson on following his heart, and doing so inevitably led him to his destined future in perfect alignment. He exists with the butterflies of his past and the bees of his future right in the middle, in the present moment, where he is able to have new experiences and make up new numbers, such as this very song being sung. Yes, the music hole made the song, but the whole is just an extension of Finn and his human experience, which in itself is essentially a dream in the grand scheme of reality. Plus, dreams themselves are things created by a greater force, and in this case, it would seem that Finn's very essence is part of that greater force, and in some way, he may be responsible for the existence of his entire human reality. As well, maybe he ends up existing as something beyond human in the future, and while living in that present moment, he is quite literally making up new numbers, as maybe the rules of that state of being are completely different than the rules of human existence. I mean, he existed as a weird cosmic blob thing in the past, so it makes sense. Now that Finn has accepted his attachment to his human form and has broken free from nihilism.
But what's it worth if we all gonna get blowed up right now? I feel like I put a lot of work into this meat reality. I'd like to see it through.
Just like in the song, he can live merrily. Then lastly, the part of the song which goes, "I'll be here for you always, and always be with you." That's talking about Finn and Jake always being there for each other in the present, as well as the past and future. Obviously, you understand the present component, as Finn and Jake are always there for each other, but I'll help you understand the past and future part very soon, as there's some more events to cover which will help this make more sense, because it turns out that Finn and Jake are even there for each other across infinity.
That's the end.
But what happened to Phil and Jake after that?
You know, they kept living their lives.
Shermie and Beth then leave BMO's house and decide they are going to go find the tree with the Finn sword. And Beth says that the tree must be big now, because it's been like 1,000 years since the events of BMO's story. They then find the sword and end things how Adventure Time started.
Aw, yeah!
So are Shermie and Beth reincarnations of Finn and Jake? Maybe. I mean, catalyst comets are supposed to come every 1,000 years, and supposedly it's been close to 1,000 years since Finn and Jake were around.
The tree would be a big tree now. It's like 1,000 years old.
But what exactly happened to Finn and Jake after the end of BMO's story? Because if Shermie and Beth are reincarnations of Finn and Jake, that would mean that Finn and Jake would have had to die. Well, luckily there's a series which is separate from the main Adventure Time series, and it's called Distant Lands. In episode 3 titled Together Again, we get some answers as to what happened with Finn and Jake after BMO's story. During this episode, Finn is on an adventure with Jake in an ice cream world, and they just took 50 flavor ice cream from some ice cream monsters.
This ice cream is so good, you have to sprinkle dirt in it just so your mind can handle it.
Finn wants to eat the ice cream right away, but Jake says this to him.
You can't just munch it down like any old snack. You gotta give it time.
Okay, yeah. Can't rush things.
So they go on some other adventures in the meantime, and eventually end up back outside their treehouse where they can finally eat the ice cream.
Woohoo! It's ice cream time! Right, Jake? Jake?
This is where I'm supposed to be.
No! We're supposed to eat the 50 flavored ice cream together!
Bye, Finn.
Why the heck did Jake just melt?
Jake! This isn't happening!
Well, it turns out that we were seeing the hallucinations of an old version of Finn who had a parasite attached to him, which was causing him to hallucinate.
I really thought I was young again, and that Jake was still alive.
Wow, so I guess Finn saying this means Jake has already died, and these hallucinations must be some repressed trauma within Finn around the events of Jake's death. After experiencing these hallucinations, Finn believes he is in a weird dungeon, but it turns out that he is actually in the dead world, which is the afterlife. And Finn is now dead.
Oh.
Our beloved hero is gone. But at least now that he's dead, Finn is excited to see Jake once again, so he makes it his mission to find him. This leads him to end up bumping into Mr. Fox, who tells him that he can choose to look like any past version of himself while in the dead world. So Finn experiments with becoming Shoko, the blob thing, the butterfly, the comet, baby Finn, and regular Finn. Then, out of nowhere, Finn randomly starts clapping.
It's a signal Jake came up with so we could find each other if we got separated in death.
Oh, look, Finn.
This is actually a reference to Season 5, when Jake says this to Finn.
Finn, when we wake up in the 9th dead world, promise me you'll listen for this sound.
What?
Just that there's a lot of dead people there, we might get separated.
But Mr. Fox tells Finn that his clapping won't work, because sadly Jake isn't here, but rather in a different dead world, and that there's levels to the dead world where people reside. Finn then ends up coming across Tiffany, who's now an undertaker of the dead world, and Tiffany says that Jake is in the highest dead world of all, the 50th. Finn is willing to do anything to find Jake, so he goes to find the head of the dead world known as New Death in order to continue his mission. While meeting with New Death, he tells Finn that he wants to put a stop to reincarnation, so Finn attacks him. Although after being unable to do anything to New Death, Finn just lets him know that he will get to the 50th dead world no matter what it takes. And New Death just decides to let Finn go while calling him a loser. After leaving New Death's castle, Finn steals Tiffany's whistle, which allows for teleportation between some of the dead worlds. Eventually he ends up in the 45th dead world, where he comes across Joshua and Margaret.
Mom? Dad? Mom!
It's good to see you again, you big crybaby.
Margaret tells Finn that in order to get to the 50th, you have to not want to get there, because it's the Zen world.
I don't want to get to the 50th dead world. I don't want to see Jake's adorable face.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work, Finn. While this is going on, Tiffany is commanded by New Death to destroy the 45th dead world, and after seeing the destruction around him, Finn is left broken.
What's the point? Jake? Why didn't you wait for me?
Jake! I need you.
It seems his mission to find Jake has reached an end. His pain causes his form to change to that of a skeleton, representing how he feels dead without Jake. As all feels lost, a beam of light opens above Finn, and Jake descends from it. At last, the two best friends are together again, and Finn feels alive once more. Jake's lesson from earlier is definitely very applicable here.
You gotta give it time.
Okay, yeah. Can't rush things.
There's one problem though. Jake doesn't even seem to remember who he himself is.
Who's Jake? Do I know you?
It's Finn! Finn!
And he says how he picked up Finn's vibe while hanging in Nirvana and had to check it out, which is why he's even here. But thankfully, he begins to remember his past with Finn fairly quickly.
You're Finn. I know you.
After being reunited, New Death shows up. He himself always wanted to get to the 50th dead world, but had no luck because of trying to force it too hard. So he goes through the portal to the 50th dead world which Jake just opened, and after getting inside the 50th, New Death destroys it. So Finn and Jake decide to contact Princess Bubblegum, who's in the living world, so they can hopefully solve this situation. Except they end up contacting Peppermint Butler instead, as he's wearing Bubblegum's crown, and seems to be the new ruler of the Candy Kingdom. Peppermint Butler tells the two of them that they must travel to the underwater gardens where the goddess Life dwells, and then tells them that they have as long as his candle in the living world burns to stay within Life's realm.
But a favor for a favor. All I ask is for permission to use your bones for a spell.
What kind of spell?
Bone spell.
Alright, I guess. I don't know where they are though, so you'll have to—
Oh, I already have them.
So Finn and Jake go and visit Life, who is a serpent being that manages incoming souls and rebirths them. But her job of doing so is currently being prevented by New Death trying to stop reincarnation, which angers her very much. So she constructs a tool for Finn and Jake called a Kiss of Life, which has the ability to conquer death.
But beware, it comes with a very important warning.
And of course, before she can say this warning, the candle stops burning and Finn and Jake are brought back to the dead world.
Shoot.
Where they then come across Tiffany and propose taking down New Death together. Because Tiffany enjoys anarchy, he decides to help Finn and Jake get into New Death's castle. While sneaking into the castle, Tiffany tells Finn and Jake to disguise themselves using their ability to transform into past life versions of themselves. So Finn becomes Shoko, and Jake becomes her tiger sidekick from earlier. Interesting. Interesting. So this means that even in past lives, Finn and Jake were destined to be together. This is what I was talking about earlier, involving the music hole's song, and them being there for each other always, even in the past. Eventually, Finn and Jake end up fighting New Death, while he is destroying many of the dead worlds. Then, after getting frozen by Finn using a note from Margaret, he explains to them how he's doing this because he didn't even want the job of being Death in the first place, but got it when he killed his dad, who was Old Death.
You bit your dad?
Yeah, I bit him. Shut up!
This makes Finn and Jake no longer want to kill New Death, because doing so could mean that they would become the operators of the dead world. As New Death continues to taunt them, it's revealed that he is controlled by none other than
the Lich.
The spawn of life and death is a creature without purpose, fit only to be a pawn in my eternal quest to end all life.
Knowing that the Lich absolutely has to be defeated, Finn and Jake begin to argue over who should sacrifice themselves to become the operator of the dead world by killing New Death, and their love for one another causes the both of them to want to sacrifice their own life to become the operator of the dead world.
I love you!
I love you too!
Luckily, this argument comes to a conclusion. As Mr. Fox comes to bring New Death some drinks and sees what's going on, he stops the fight and proceeds to kill New Death, using the Kiss of Life. After the weapon is used, the snake around it falls to the ground and bites its own tail. This is known as Ouroboros, and represents eternal life and the infinite cycle of birth and death. And Mr. Fox then becomes the New Death, but the Lich hand still remains.
You've taken the crown, but without a strong right hand.
Get out of here!
After these events, the dead worlds which had been destroyed begin to come back. Reincarnation is back, baby! So Mr. Fox asks Finn if he's now ready to settle into the 37th dead world, but Finn tells him that he wants to return to being alive.
Mr. Death, I want to go back.
And as Finn is preparing for reincarnation, Jake begins to ascend back to the 50th dead world, while letting Finn know that he'll be ready for the 50th in no time. Finn has had an epiphany after these events in the dead world, and has accepted that he can reunite with Jake sometime in the future, across infinity. But for now, he can go and live his own life without him. So he accepts reincarnating on his own without Jake.
Wonder what life's gonna turn me into this time. Jake? What are you doing?
I'm just coming back for fun, because it's great being alive with you.
Good reason.
And this fully concludes the meaning of the music hole singing, "I'll be here for you always, and always be with you." As Finn and Jake are always there for each other, not only in the past and present, but also the future. So maybe Finn and Jake do become Shermie and Beth after deciding to reincarnate together. What do you think? At the end of the day, I myself think that there's so much we as the audience can learn from Finn's story. Finn had plenty of reasons to become a bad guy, as he's gone through many traumatic events. But instead of doing so, he made the decision to do anything within his power to help others, so that hopefully they don't have to go through what he has. Although, Finn isn't perfect. Just like all of us, he's made many mistakes along his journey, and even went through feelings of depression. When feeling down and depressed, it's easy to try and fill yourself with lots of artificial things, such as in Finn's case, kissing countless princesses. But in the case of you watching this, you know exactly which artificial things I'm talking about. You know, the things that are just empty short-term dopamine. After Finn realized how these artificial things truly made him feel, he learned to stop thinking with his short-term mind so much, and made a breakthrough after deciding to follow his heart. Finn is no different from you or I. As when we use our love-filled hearts as a guide, we will also find the answers which we need within our own lives. Through following his heart, Finn was able to find the beauty within his human life, and even turn his once nihilistic look at life into a positive one. So much so, in fact, that when offered a way out, Finn made the active decision to continue living as a human. Finn's heart guided him to make amends with his past and accept it as an essential aspect of his life, rather than the cause of his present trauma, because he understands that he would have never been where he presently is if his traumatic past never happened. Although, even after Finn realized this, it didn't mean he instantly had it all figured out. It's the same for you. You don't have to have it all figured out right now, but as long as you take the next step which your heart tells you to, things will work. Keep planting seeds which lead to your own self-betterment day by day. The success of today is not from planting the seed itself, but rather from harvesting multiple seeds which you planted in the past that now bear you endless fruit. Only a fool plants a seed and sits there the whole day watching it, getting angry that it's not growing. Expand your garden daily. But at the same time, don't overstress if you miss a day here and there. At least you are constructing a garden to the best of your ability in the first place, when you used to not even have a garden. When you decide to trust the process all while following your heart, you'll realize that you are exactly where you need to be, and that you have much more power within yourself than you may have once thought. It all comes down to you. When Breezy transformed into Princess Bubblegum and told Finn to let love be his guide, it's easy to think that was symbolism of Finn's love for Bubblegum. But no, she was holding the Finn sword while saying this, as the real answer was Finn loving himself. Loving Fern, and going on a self-healing journey to heal his own personal trauma. Self-love and healing is always the greatest answer of life, because we can easily misinterpret external things and cause self-inflicted pain and struggle. Just like the events involving Finn and Martin, it was easy for Finn to believe that his dad didn't love him. Yet we know that the truth of things seems to be the opposite, and that Martin truly did love Finn. Just too many unfortunate circumstances made him unable to express that love. Self-perception constructs your reality. At the end of the day, although your human life may just be a dream, it's a dream which you are in control of. So do you want to let your own destructive mind consume you and make things a nightmare? Or do you want to let the heart guide you and make life a dream full of beauty? So beautiful that you wish to return to the dream once it's over. Finn's story isn't just a fictional tale, but a truth of life itself. Use these tools as a guide, and no Lich will stop you no matter how many times it tries. Now go forward and act in love every day. Not just to better your own life, but for the betterment of everyone, and reality itself. But who am I to tell you what the truth is, as only you can find that for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy my video which covers the entire story of Rick Sanchez. Or you can check out this other video of mine which YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Both options are on the screen right now. As well, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Remember to follow your heart and spread love and positivity. You got this, and I love you. Have a good one.